His name is inscribed on every sign as you enter the county. It is on every school bus, on every sheriff patrol car, and every public school in the county. It is heralded on the facade of public buildings and on the masthead of the local newspaper. It is emblazoned on sports jerseys, a cabinet shop, and a peanut company. Not to mention the historical foundation. Streets carry his middle and last name, though his middle name is misspelled. His likeness is even portrayed on every denomination of Berrien bucks. But few of the county's citizens know who he was or how this county came to carry his name, John McPherson Berrien. John McPherson Berrien was born August 23, 1781, near Rock Hill, New Jersey. He was born in the home of his grandfather, Judge John Berrien, a colonial justice, and a close friend to George Washington. John McPherson Berrien was the son of Major John Berrien, a Revolutionary soldier who at the age of 18 was a brigadier major at Valley Forge. The Berrien home in New Jersey is known as Rockingham. Built in 1710, it has undergone numerous remodelings and relocations on the estate. The home has since been restored to its finest condition after years of dilapidation and encroachment by a nearby stone quarry. General Washington made this home his headquarters for 3 months in 1783 and wrote his farewell to the troops here on November 2nd of that year. In 1782, Major Berrien moved his family to Savannah, where he was collector of customs and state treasurer at Louisville, Georgia. Louisville served as the state capital from 1796 until 1806, when the legislature moved to Milledgeville. The 3-story residence in Savannah that Major Berrien called home was built about 1791 and was referred to as the Berrien House. Young Berrien attended the College of New Jersey, later to be known as Princeton, where he received a bachelor's degree in 1796 at the age of 15. John McPherson read law for Judge Joseph Clay Jr. before being admitted to the bar in 1799 at the age of 18, and became a judge in 1810 at the age of 29. About 1802, he married Eliza Richardson Ancio, who bore the first 9 of his children. During the War of 1812, he was a captain in the Chatham Light Dragoons, and later a colonel in the 1st Georgia Cavalry. In 1822 and 1823, Berrien was Chatham County Senator, and in 1825, the Georgia State Legislature elected him to the U.S. Senate. State legislatures elected U.S. senators until the 17th Amendment of the Constitution was ratified in 1912. Berrien's oratory skills in the U.S. Senate earned him the title of the American Cicero. Justice John Marshall dubbed him the honey-tongued Georgia youth. On August 25, 1828, his wife Eliza died at the age of 42, leaving John Berrien a widower with 9 children. When Andrew Jackson was elected president in the 1828 election, he selected Berrien as his attorney general. However, by 1830, President Jackson's cabinet was embroiled in a scandal known as the Petticoat Affair. The scandal was based on the marriage of John Eaton, Jackson's Secretary of War, to the widow Peggy O'Neill Timberlake. Floride Calhoun, wife of Vice President John C. Calhoun, felt the marriage was the result of an illicit affair and shunned Mrs. Eaton. Members of Jackson's cabinet chose sides, most siding with the opinion of Floride Calhoun, which angered President Jackson. The result of this fiasco and the reforms Jackson was attempting caused a mass resignation of his cabinet, including John M. Berrien. Upon his resignation in 1831 from Jackson's cabinet, he returned to Savannah, where he practiced law with Richard R. Cuyler. In 1833, he married Eliza Cecil Hunter, much his younger, who bore him 6 more children. During this time, he resided on and oversaw his Morton Hall and Oak Grove Savannah River plantations, owning more than 50 slaves. He also helped found the Georgia Historical Society in 1839 and served as its first president. In 1841, John M. Berrien was elected U.S. Senator once again by the Georgia State Legislature. He returned to Washington, where the dome of the Capitol building was yet to be finished. He served in that office until 1851. As senator, he spoke in support of slavery in the new state of Texas and opposition to the Compromise of 1850. Feeling the Whig Party had leaned toward abolition, he resigned as senator, and Robert Toombs, a Unionist, was elected in his place. Berrien then aligned himself with the American Know Nothing Party and presided over their December 1855 convention. However, John McPherson Berrien died a few days later on January 1st, 1856. He is buried in Laurel Grove Cemetery in Savannah. On February 25, 1856, a new county formed from Lowndes, Irwin, and Coffee counties, and was given the name Berrien in his honor. Actually, Berrien County, Georgia was not the first county named for John McPherson Berrien. Berrien County, Michigan named one of their counties for President Andrew Jackson's Attorney General in 1829. Michigan was not yet a state, but the Michigan Territory Legislature named one of its 10 new counties in honor of Berrien. Referred to by Michigan state historians as the Cabinet Counties, the legislature named these 10 counties, pictured here in red, after President Jackson and Vice President John C. Calhoun, plus their 8 cabinet members, including Berrien. But with his position on slavery and being an owner of more than 50 slaves himself, the Michigan honor most likely is nothing more than a name today, rather than a source of pride to the community. More than 150 years transpired before any personal artifact attributed to John McPherson Berrien ever appeared in Berrien County, Georgia. In August 1849, then Senator Berrien penned a letter on the subject of slavery to Major Iverson L. Harris, and personally addressing its cover. Over the next 150 years or so, the letter had been misplaced. However, the original cover envelope came up for auction. It was purchased by William Jesse Hancock, Jr., formerly of Berrien County, Georgia, now of Winter Garden, Florida. He is the great-grandson of William Wesley Hancock and Martha Patsy Rutherford, early pioneers of Berrien County. In 2014, Bill contacted the Historical Foundation, offering to donate the 1849 cover envelope signed by J.M. Berrien, U.S. Senator. The cover envelope, along with a portrait of Berrien and brief circumstance of the item, were handsomely framed and hang in the Historical Foundation office. Then in July 2015, 2 Berrien family descendants, William Berrien Houseman of Savannah and J. Stryker Burroughs of Tallahassee, donated portraits of Major John Berrien and of his son, John M. Berrien, to the Berrien Historical Foundation. They had asked if we had any portraits of the county's namesake, and offered to donate these if they were hung for public viewing. Major Berrien's portrait hangs in the Military Honors Room, and John M. Berrien's portrait hangs in the Historical Foundation's office. In addition to the portraits, Jan Burroughs donated a personal handwritten letter by Senator John McPherson Berrien in May 1841, whereas he mentions his correspondence with President Tyler and Senator Daniel Webster. This historic piece is on display in the Military Honors Room as well. Upon the death of John M. Berrien in 1856, his estate was divided among his 15 children. His fine plantation home was burned by Sherman's troops toward the end of the Civil War. And his once grand Berrien house in Savannah became just another set of row houses on Broughton and Habersham Streets. The house was split into two side-by-side residences, with both entries on the front porch. The bottom floor was converted to commercial shops. In 1917, the house was raised to allow for 11-foot ceilings in the retail shops. The front porch was removed and stucco was added to the siding. In the late 1970s, the structure was nearing dilapidation. Roof and dormers were modified, and the third floor closed off completely. By 2009, the property was nearing condemnation proceedings, and the building was placed on the Georgia Places in Peril list. In 2012, Andrew Berrien Jones, a New York-based artist and businessman and a descendant of John Berrien, purchased the home. The restoration process started almost immediately by removing the stucco layer and exposing the original siding, openings, and detail. This exposure provided evidence of original design and a reference for architectural drawings of each elevation of the building. These end views show the more dramatic challenges of lowering the building back down to its original level. Not only was the house lowered to its original height, it was moved 30 inches east to allow a view of the back garden on the west end. This notched and pegged construction was exposed when the bottom floor construction was removed so the building could be lowered. Other examples of craftsmanship with the most rudimentary materials were exposed throughout the restoration process. This original hand-carved wooden cornice on the exterior of the building was remarkably preserved, though severely weathered over 230 years. The hand-carved craftsmanship carried into the interior of the home as well. These examples are from the upstairs rooms in the wainscoting and crown molding features. Double-layered heart pine flooring was preserved where possible and replaced with light material when needed. Closer inspection of one of the floorboards revealed a thumb hole in the board, and when the board was lifted up, a compartment was revealed filled with empty whiskey bottles. But perhaps the most noteworthy in the revealing process was the discovery of many sandwiched wallpaper remnants. These remnants were incredibly rare examples of sidewall and border designs, including hand-painted French and English papers. One such unique paper was this pattern, later referred to as the Berrien sprig pattern. A similar pattern was found in a rare period wallpaper sampler and was reprinted for use in the Berrien House restoration. The restoration phase was a result of great attention to detail, color, and replacement when necessary, as in the window and door treatments shown here. When replacement was necessary, quality wood and craftsmanship were still essential to recreate the same feel as the original in a restored result, as depicted in this ballroom wainscoting comparison. as well as this beautiful and complex cornice molding. The full restoration was completed in 2019, and in 2020 the finished project was awarded the Georgia Trust Excellence in Rehabilitation Award. Note the portrait on the right of John McPherson Berrien, and on the left his father, Major John Berrien. These are the same portraits that hang in the Berrien Museum in the old courthouse on the square. This is the restored ballroom in the Berrien house. Note the finished wainscoting on the walls, detailed in an earlier photo. This is the foyer and hallway to the staircase to the second floor. Note the finished floors and detail on the door moldings. The third floor is the private residential space for the owner, while the second floor provides entertaining space for guests. When the exterior of the Berrien house was completed, this Georgia historical marker was dedicated and gives a brief background on Major John Berrien and his son, John McPherson Berrien. The Berrien family descendants have preserved and restored an important piece of history in Georgia. It helps inform and reminds its visitors of the contributions Major Berrien and Senator Berrien made to the country and to the state of Georgia throughout their lives. Likewise, we are the recipients of the Berrien name to identify our home place. And as citizens, we have an obligation to remind ourselves and others of this special heritage, to preserve the history of Berrien County and our namesake, John McPherson Berrien.